So this is going to be a video from Nerdrotic about Starfleet Academy, the new Star Trek series on Paramount. It's been getting just trashed lately. I watch his videos every once in a while when it has something to do with science fiction or whatever. They usually have pretty decent takes, and this is the guy. When the first episode came out for Starfleet Academy, they put it on YouTube for free for everybody to watch. So you don't have to sign up for Paramount to watch the first one. This guy decided to live stream watching it, but the camera was faced at a chair with a Spock doll sitting in the chair, and that was it. And he got like 3,500 live viewers watching it, and the actual Star Trek stream only got like 1,300. So he got 3 times the number of people watching it, which he can get in trouble for that, really. With just a doll sitting in a chair than the actual fucking channel. Now, that, hopefully he worded it correctly, that he didn't say, hey, you can watch it here so you don't have to watch it there, because he can get in trouble for that. We've seen that happen before. And he probably wasn't doing like, he wasn't transforming the video at all. He's like pausing it and doing commentary or something like that. So he could get in trouble for that, really. But this is his take on this so far in the series.
Legendary. Legendary.
All I asked for was a freaking rotating chair.
Put yourself in their shoes for a sec. Well done, number one. The class.
Okay. Sick as a dog now.
Some dude, a YouTuber.
Friends, nerds, countrymen, and the 40% who haven't subscribed yet. Once again, I find myself in familiar territory, having to contemplate the errors of my ways. As you may or may not have heard, everyone's pal Will, the critical drinker, and yours truly have found ourselves embroiled in controversy once again. This time with Star Trek, Starfleet Academy, and this may or may not have partially been brought on by a Spock action figure.
So, and the guy he's talking about, Critical Drinker, is also another guy who does a lot of like these reactionary videos and stuff. And I think sometimes they do a podcast together on YouTube where they're both on there reacting to shit like that. And they're pretty funny. They're both pretty funny. I recommend them both. This is Nerdrotic, and I recommend Critical Thinker.
The Academy, and this may or may not have partially been brought on by a Spock action figure.
They let the episode go out free on YouTube, and they had barely 1,000 people tune in. Some dude, a YouTuber, live streamed Spock action figure sitting in an empty chair, and it got 3 times more viewers.
It appears my Spock action figure, along with our reviews, has really upset some activist anti-capitalist access media bloggers who largely work for corporate websites that are fully supported by ads. They have accused us of not being real Star Trek fans, and more importantly, they say that Star Trek was never made for us and never has been. Apparently, those of us who have watched...
Then who's it made for? If you're taking a franchise that's been around since the 60s, 70s, and over those last 50 years has gained people and followers and fans, and you make another iteration of the franchise, then who the fuck's it for? If it's not for those people, then why call it Star Trek? Just make it something else. Call it DEI Academy, okay? What a stupid thing to say.
Star Trek, in some cases for decades, have never really understood it. And any criticism of Star Trek, Starfleet Academy we have fosters hate and bigotry. Well, I don't know about you guys, but I've never heard this before, and I find it quite shocking. So, taking that criticism to heart, and after some deep contemplation, I've decided the Starfleet Academy reviews will continue until morale improves. Previously on Star Trek, Starfleet Academy.
Next.
Hello. I think I swallowed my combat.
I saw this.
Activism. Love it. Advocating for social change matters.
Oh, doesn't I watch birds?
I like turtles.
Fat, drunk, and stupid is no way to go through life, son.
Here's an easy one. The name of this cadet.
Moron. Before we get started, let's keep in mind that Star Trek Starfleet Academy is a darling of the critics on Rotten Tomatoes anyway, where it sits at 88%.
And you cannot, like, I used to look at this a long time ago. Rotten Tomatoes has been around for a long time. And I used to look at it a lot back in the day. I think, even back when the new Star Wars series came out, the new Star Wars trilogy came out, The Force Awakens and whatnot. So before I went to go watch it, I wanted to go see what these people were saying about it. And over time, you tend to see that the tomato meter is way off what the public thinks. It's always the opposite of what the actual public thinks when they vote on here. And it's no secret now that it's corporate shills paying someone at tomato meter. Yeah, tomato meter's been gotten. They've been gotten. And they're getting paid to do these. Now, it's alleged. I'm not saying that's what happened, but that is what is being passed around, that they allegedly do these kind of things just to up it for these big companies' IPs, you know. But the real votes, don't look at the average tomato meter. Look at the actual fan vote, the viewer votes.
Which is 4 points higher than Star Trek VI, The Undiscovered Country, and...
There's no fucking way. There's no way that TV show, which is nothing but DEI, got a higher rating than Star Trek, The Voyage Home, whatever, The Undiscovered Country, and The Wrath of Khan.
1 point higher than Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan.
There's no way.
It's a show that is largely made by the same people who made Section 31, which just recently received 5 Razzie nominations, including Worst Picture, Worst Actress, Michelle Yeoh, Worst Screenplay, Greg Sweeney, Worst Director, I can't pronounce his name, and Worst Supporting Actress, Casey Roll. I'm really not sure what's more embarrassing, a Spock action figure getting more live concurrent view.
That's what it looked like. That's his chair. It looks a lot like my chair. No. That's his chair. That's a Spock doll. He put a Star Trek communicator badge on there. And he just sat that up in front of the camera while the shit was going. 3,700 people.
Than a $10 million episode of Star Trek on YouTube, or a company that continues to pay someone to be a critic who said they like this show. Admittedly, that is the minority, because the vast majority of critics on Rotten Tomatoes who are brought in to pad the system are from websites you've never heard of. And I know Rotten Tomatoes sucks for precisely the reasons I just gave you. Now, if you were thinking that Starfleet Leering Academy just needed to get its legs under it, and in future episodes it would improve, you'd be wrong. While Star Trek, the original series that I just call Star Trek, takes place in the 23rd century, and TNG, DS9, and Voyager take place in the 24th century, Starfleet Academy takes place in the 32nd century. That's 1,100 years in the future, where apparently you still use earbuds, but we know these are future earbuds because they have green LEDs, which...
Right? You think there had been over 1,000 years in the future, we wouldn't still be using earbuds from Apple, right? What's that say? Eargasm? Ear lights, right? That we would telepathically have a chip in our brain or something where we could just stream the music right into our head or something like that. But no.
We actually have now. And apparently everybody just exercises the same way in 1,100 years, except this time we know it's the future because they have an LED jump rope.
The new Factor menu is like having my favorite restaurant on speed dial. Factor just solved my boring dinner problem. With over 100...
Which they have now. And yes...
So, we didn't discover flying cars yet, but we got lighted jump ropes.
I know they've done this in cheap previous sci-fi shows. They've done it a little bit in Star Trek, but gone are the days of the show that inspired things like the iPad. And I have a genuine question. Does Darum, who is a new race of the Cajones, the Cajonians, a humanoid race with 2 forms, a human-looking form and some sort of fish person form, do you need to exercise them differently? Or is he just a mutant? Because Kurtzman wasn't kidding when he said this is X-Men First Class meets Harry Potter meets Star Trek.
X-Men First Class, as well as Harry Potter in general.
Anyway, everybody's
What?
off to gym class where this is the gym teacher.
Show me your worthy of this uniform.
Pretty rich coming from a lady who barely fits into hers. I'd like to see it do one push-up or even complete a 10-yard dash. And it's here I'd like to once again point out the lack of imagination, originality, or even talent when it comes to Kurtzman Trek. One of the biggest criticisms of Jar Jar Abrams' Trek was the excessive use of lens flares, which was Jar Jar Abrams in his own horrible way ripping off Steven Spielberg. Something Jar Jar Abrams himself said became this thing, and it was ridiculous.
There was this idea we had that the future was so bright that it just couldn't be contained. And I overdid it. Then I went further. I realized it was preposterous and I had to pull back.
And here we are, almost 17 years later, and Kurtzman's still using them excessively. But it's here during gym class we see the origins of our little conflict between Gryffindor and Slytherin. Starfleet Academy and the War College. When a Vulcan, who are famous for their hijinks and aggression, throws a ball at Caleb's head, and then Caleb gets squared up on by a midget Romulan who talks just like kids do today. I bet that's going to lead to trouble, but before we get to that, we find out that another Kurtzman Trek character is gay.
You know, I used to know a guy like a War College bicep up in Kona. My parents didn't think we were a good match.
Which really shouldn't surprise anybody at this point, considering Mike McMahon, the Lower Decks showrunner, said every Starfleet officer is probably at the baseline bisexual, in a way. And wouldn't you know it, the trouble didn't end when the Vulcan, who are famous pranksters, and the rest of the War College beam the half-naked and naked Starfleet cadets around various parts of the Academy, including the rotund hologram, Sam beaming her underwater, where she is clearly blowing out bubbles when she screams. Now, why would a hologram need to...
Why do we need this? Why do we need this in the show? Women in bathing suits, half-naked guys. Why do we need that? Star Trek is supposed to be about like space exploration, finding new worlds, meeting new species, new people out there, organisms, whatever. Traveling space, going where no man has gone before. But we have this. And I wonder why people are pissed and calling this garbage, right? Because it's stupid shit like this.
Breathe, and on that note, why would a hologram be programmed to be fat or talk with a mush mouth? Don't know. This is followed by the War College cadets taking responsibility for the prank, where that rascally Vulcan said they will continue because they are fun. Something Vulcans, particularly pure blood Vulcans, do not have.
You must learn to exercise control over your own imagination.
Sure, they take satisfaction in things, but no Vulcan would use the word fun. Maybe fascinating.
Fascinating.
Oh, and let's not forget the little Romulan girl flipping the double bird. Then...
Fascinating.
Oh, and let's not forget the little Romulan girl flipping the double bird.
Like, that's necessary. Do we need that? Another thing that I have to ask, do we need shit like that in these shows? It's the year 31, whatever. It's 1,100 years in the future, and we're still doing this stupid shit, right? Not to mention that this Romulan apparently is half Asian. It's an Asian Romulan.
Then the credits roll, which are dominated by the 21 producers that work on this show. And yes, this episode's premise is we have a wacky prank war on our hands.
We are about to have a prank war on our hands just as the Oversight Committee arrives.
And that's exactly the conversation Laura Thok, the half Jem'Hadar, half Klingon, which shouldn't be possible in Star Trek, but they're rolling with it anyway in Kurtzman Trek, has with Holly Hunter, who looks like she's having a stroke. That's some good thumbnail material.
I can promise you, they shenanigans, they'll shed.
I used to really like Holly Hunter. I have nothing against her as a person. I used to like her in everything she was in. I like her as an actor. But the fact that she would take on this role and agree to this really just kind of sets me off for some reason.
And in this conversation, and quite frankly the rest of the episode, we get a performance from Holly Hunter that will go down in Star Trek history. It will be remembered with the likes of William Shatner's performance in Star Trek VI: The Undiscovered Country, or Patrick Stewart's performance in Tapestry, or, dare I say, Avery Brooks' performance in The Pale Moonlight, for all the opposite and wrong reasons. Now, we've already gotten plenty of modern vernacular, and believe me, there is more on the way, and we've already got some cussing, but we need it from the Chancellor.
The important thing is
Limu emu.
calm. Only pay for what you need.
Liberty, 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 liberty. Hi, I'm YouTube.
Hi.
On YouTube, you're not allowed to say words like.
Well, I didn't catch that.
That's because we're on YouTube, and on YouTube, you're not allowed to say words like.
On Rumble, we can say all that.
Really?
Yeah, we don't police language on Rumble.
Well, that sounds dangerous.
You can say anything you want, really. Words like or. What's happening? Oh, it's on YouTube, isn't it?
That's right. My platform, my rules.
Worst.
Well, that's your opinion, you.
Stop. Rumble is reimagining the video platform. YouTube.
Forget my language. I'm croaking.
Now,
That was a good commercial. So anybody, I don't normally watch the ads, but I watched that ad because I was confused as to why there was a Rumble ad on YouTube. But it was actually pretty funny. I might even look into like streaming on Rumble. You know what I mean? Like YouTube, I'm really done with YouTube. I've done YouTube for probably 10 years now. And I just don't like YouTube anymore. I got problems with it. But anyway.
how are they getting a little meta there because the writers of this show are sensitive to the criticism of all the foul language that they put in Star Trek where it doesn't belong? Yes, but then they follow it up with this.
They grew up in the burn. I'm not going to crush the life out of them any more than the universe already has.
Now, if you want to know what the burn is, please see my last Starfleet Academy video. But if Kurtzman Trek is trying to make an analogy of kids growing up during a crisis of, say, extenuating circumstances beyond their control like COVID, that's pretty rich coming from a show that has this guy in it.
The vaccine!
Well, it appears the prank war is on and Chancellor Holly Hunter is going to allow it to happen. Later on in herbology class, the kids are upset and they want revenge. And after this unintentionally accurate line,
I took a bath for the first time.
Madam Sprout, I'm sorry, Holly Hunter
Man, that was a dig. That was a dig and a half. Wow.
advises that the best strategy to fight back is
He's really going all in on that black girl right there. Really going all in on her.
with botany, specifically by growing the empathy flower, which is in truth an empathy fungus. What exactly makes it a fungus of empathy? I honestly don't know because the plant just repeats back what you said with a cute little voice.
Empathy.
You keep using that word. I don't think it means what you think it means. Yes.
And because if that were empathy, then a parrot would be an empathy bird. Maybe this is the Hollywood definition of empathy, which is essentially telling you what you want to hear. But it turns out our sensitive bird-watching Klingon Jay Den has discovered that the War College didn't even come up with that prank on their own. They actually stole it from a previous prank. Or we get another line that unintentionally describes Alex Kurtzman.
Then you've already learned your opponent's lack of imagination.
And why is that line applicable? Because Alex Kurtzman is famously, in my opinion, the biggest thief in Hollywood. And if you need proof, well, this is within a scene that rips off from Little Shop of Horrors. And because the writers of the show thought somebody swallowing their comm badge was so funny, they decided to double down on it by having the neurodivergent body positivity hologram try to eat the empathy fungus's growth accelerant. But now it's time for a little training, so it's off to the danger room for Starfleet Academy's version of Quidditch, a truly unique game designed specifically for Star Trek known as laser tag. Now, everybody's assumed that the bird-watching Klingon Jay Den is gay. We get a scene that might insinuate that.
Hello, my name is Jaden.
Jaden, I'm Kyle.
I'm rooting for you, shippers. No, actually I'm not. Speaking of shipping, we get a little romantic scene between Caleb and Brett Cooper, where he is able to easily accomplish something that's really difficult for any woman or man in the WNBA. Hit an easy layup. There's another laser tag competition to find out who will be the captain of the Starfleet Academy team between Darum and Genesis, and in a shocker for Kurtzman Trek, the dude won. Following that, Holly Hunter supposedly tries to talk the Chancellor of the War College out of this prank war. But I think it's time we have a serious conversation about this creative choice to have Holly Hunter spasm all over chairs, davenports, and couches. Now, apparently, this was Holly Hunter's creative decision. Her character in the show is over 400 years old, and she believes this is how a over 400-year-old person would sit. It's supposed to show that she is a free spirit. She marches to the beat of her own drum.
Okay.
Her matriarchal power is not bound by the misogynistic, jingoistic, militaristic, patriarchal, and fascist constructs of the old Starfleet and the War College. What it ends up looking like is somebody who's spun out on a cocktail of SSRIs and Adderall. But now it's time for a secret game of laser tag between Slytherin and Gryffindor, after the new Captain Darum challenged Johnny Spocksville, and in a scene set to music that sounded like Daft Punk with Alzheimer's, Slytherin hands Gryffindor an ass whooping, and the only time they win a match is when Genesis takes over, because there's no shortage of girl bossing in Kurtzman Trek, and doing what he should have done from the beginning. Darum, our toxic bisexual male, quits being captain and hands it over to Genesis. Specifically in these laser tag scenes, I would like to take this moment to praise Kurtzman Trek, who has always been a champion of inclusivity and diversity, with their representation of body positivity and neurodivergence in the sentient hologram character of Sam. So of course the kids get in trouble and they get sent to their chancellors, and the Starfleet cadets get chewed out by Holly Hunter in her pajamas.
Are your pajamas covered in little accordions?
They are tiny warp cords. You want to say something cute about it?
And it's at this point I'd like to highlight what Kurtzman Trek does to Academy Award-winning actresses.
Grow!
Is anybody listening? Listen.
I'm sure Chancellor Kellrigan is. Tail an eyeball. Out!
I guess Michelle Yeoh should have warned her. So throughout the entire episode, Holly Hunter has been trying to spell out specifically what the cadets need to do to get back at the War College by preaching patience and empathy as a strategy. And after randomly walking by some empathy fungus, they finally figure it out. But
oh my God, dude. I don't... This is the Star Trek's version of the Acolyte. It's 98% diversity, right? It's okay to have diversity, but it doesn't have to be all inclusive, right? Everybody doesn't have to be diverse. Diverse means a percentage. It doesn't mean all of it. Over the years where I've worked at, stores I've ran, stuff like that, most of the larger stores, the companies require hiring diversity. So there's actually a percentage that you have to have a certain media requirement of percentage of black employees, Asian employees, Hispanic employees, retired employees, military veterans, things like that. Men, women. Like, companies do this on purpose. And you know, the same thing goes on in Hollywood. But the problem is they go overboard. They literally go overboard and they make it all diversity. I mean, like, I don't think there's one person that isn't either a woman, overweight, black, or gay. Right? We're seeing this.
But before we get to that, we get the least surprising revelation of all. Tig Notaro and Laura Thok are a couple, at least until the USS U-Haul shows up, and that was preceded by Tig Notaro giving parental advice, because anybody in this show that has a dad has daddy issues. So once again, through Holly Hunter's speech where she was contorting on a chair, she essentially laid down the plan to get back at the War College, and it was pretty simple. Just make sure the kids randomly walk by an empathy fungus and then figure out you need to be patient and grow them quickly, which would be the opposite of patience, by juicing up the growth accelerant, and then find some space space knot to replicate the eyeball of the War College Chancellor. And I know what you're asking now, dear viewer. If you can replicate an eyeball, why are people wearing glasses? And on that note, if you could transfer a consciousness into a robot body, why are people in wheelchairs or deaf? Anyway, they replicate the eyeball so they can get past the biometric.
There are two characters in this show, apparently. One is in a wheelchair. You'd think after all these years, with all the technology we got, that we can fly at warp speed, faster than the speed of light, but we can't figure out how to help someone walk again. We have the need for wheelchairs. And then there's also a guy who's deaf. He's deaf. And he plays a, what do you call it, a betazoid? Which was, it's a race that was predominantly shown in The Next Generation with Deanna Troi. She was a betazoid, and they're telepathics. They can talk telepathically. But this guy's deaf. I get it. So if you can talk telepathically, you have no need for fucking hearing, right? But he uses sign language. What are you using fucking sign language for, dude? You can talk telepathically. Just dumb shit.
Security of the War College implant the empathy fungus, where it grows uncontrollably and probably kills 9 or 10 students. And the Starfleet Academy cadets are really proud of themselves in a shot that looks like it's straight out of a Pfizer commercial. I think the writers wanted to get across that they were teaching the kids to strategize through the matriarchal lens of patience and empathy over the patriarchal aggressiveness and dominance, when in truth she just taught the kids through the very matriarchal lens to cheat with subtlety. But your guess is as good as mine, because this just ended up being yet another episode with all of the Kurtzman Trek hallmarks. The aforementioned men, the few of them that they are, yielding to women, women correcting men.
Look, kid, any message that you have to chase down does not deserve to be read.
Genesis.
You know what kind of captain sends his team into a slaughter? Worrying about the record dirty.
I'd call you naive, but you've got 300 years on me.
They're 50 10.
Kindness have multiple appendix line.
Oh, appendices.
Under Starfleet Regulation 286.3.
286.4, actually.
Constant over-affirmation, modern vernacular.
I can make myself permeable, bitches! This is kid shit? Forgive my language. I'm pro kid shit.
I would love to just have one shower without having to hear about Darren's multiple polycule underwater hookups. Do you find it challenging to be a War College douchebag?
Welcome to the Calicatines.
So they still use the term douchebag in the year 3100.
It's an honor.
They shenaned once, they'll shenan again.
Well done, number one.
Feelings in hallways, feelings in corridors, feelings on basketball courts. It's shot like a commercial, the writing is absurd and the acting is awful, and not a shred of masculinity to be found. But it is unintentionally hilarious, and it's absolutely the acolyte of Star Trek. Just as...
I just said that. It's Star Trek's version of The Acolyte.
The Acolyte was Kathleen Kennedy's Disney Star Wars in its final form. Star Trek Starfleet Academy is Kurtzman Trek in its final form. And tell me if you haven't heard this one before. You take a beloved intellectual property that used to be made for everyone, dumbed it down, vandalized it beyond all recognition, alienating your longtime fans, all in the search for the mythical modern audience, which they found. Unfortunately, that's the other commonality with the Acolyte, who did find a very passionate audience with numbers big enough to get it canceled. And while the new head of Paramount, David Ellison, is desperately trying to buy Warner Brothers, I don't think letting Starfleet Academy see the light of day is helping his cause. And let's not forget...
Which is not going to happen, by the way. The Paramount buying Warner Brothers, I believe that was... Netflix is getting that. So Netflix is buying Warner Brothers, which owns HBO. All of HBO's properties is going to be part of Netflix now, which is cool if you have a Netflix subscription. Not so cool if you have an HBO subscription, right? So now you can cancel one and just stay with Netflix. Although from what I read, I think they're going to continue with the HBO channel. But you can see crisscrossing, hopefully, see some HBO shit over on Netflix. Maybe Netflix shows on HBO, who knows? But this will allow you to see some like Game of Thrones. What else is on there? Like, isn't Breaking Bad on HBO? A lot of those series that are on there, you can now, hopefully you'll get to see on Netflix now, which is huge. And it was a ton of money. But I canceled HBO a long time ago because when I first got it, It was only like $8.99 a month, and I had it for about 2 years, 3 years. And then in September is when I canceled it, or October, one of the two. They sent me an email saying they're raising the monthly subscription to $17.99 a month. A $10 increase. Canceled. As soon as I read the email, went right on their website and canceled it. Yes, sir.
There wouldn't have been Jar Jar Trek, which spawned Kurtzman Trek, without David Ellison's Skydance. But ultimately, the two biggest problems with Kurtzman Trek are the algorithmic product placement of the message and continuing to make Star Trek something it isn't. It isn't the X-Men, it's not Harry Potter, it's not the OC or 90210, and it's not Buffy. What Star Trek needs to be is something Alex Kurtzman and his team of repurposers are completely incapable of making. Star Trek. Watching Kurtzman Trek may cause a range of side effects, including but not limited to sudden bouts of nostalgia overload, leading to uncontrollable urges to rewatch the original series while remembering this is my Trek. Mild to severe plot hole induced headaches, excessive eye rolling from over-the-top emotional monologues, potentially resulting in strained ocular muscles, lens flare sensitivity, making everyday sunlight feel like a directorial assault, contrivance whiplash, which may result in decapitation, increased sarcasm levels, turning casual viewers into full-time YouTube critics. In not so rare cases, it causes vomiting, diarrhea, and thoughts of suicide. If you experience persistent disillusionment lasting more than 4 episodes, discontinue viewing and consult a classic Trek marathon immediately. Ask your doctor if Kurtzman Trek is right for you. Spoiler, it isn't.
Nerderotic.com.
That was really good. That was really good. And again, that is... Well, his name's right there, Nerdrotic. So I recommend going over, giving him a sub, check out his channel. Like the video and everything. Very well done video. It's very funny. And the sad news is, if you thought Star Trek was bad, that series is bad, they're already renewed for a second season. That is correct. So that means and I think they're spending like $6 to $9 million per episode. Yes, that's correct. $6 to $9 million per episode to make that garbage. Middle fingers, douchebag, gay, old women, 400-year-old women just lounging in a chair. You know what I mean? Like, there's no representation of the actual Star Trek universe there. So, I get it. You know, they want to take these franchises and try to continue going. They think it's a cow they can milk, a money tree. But you have to have the right people doing it. You have to have people that love the universe making the movies. Now, J.J. Abrams, for example, apparently was a huge Star Wars fan, but he kind of fucked up. The first one was okay. The third one, shitty. He also did Star Trek and fucked that up. You know what I mean? The cast was pretty good. Zachary Quinto as Spock was fucking dead on, man. Dead on. But you're destroying this shit, and all you're doing is you're trying to, curtail to the current generation that are all about diversity and gay and bisexuality and all this stupid shit. Like, it doesn't need to be a soap opera. It's a space opera. Okay? It's about space, outer space. It's not about all these romantic problems and shit like that. Nobody wants to see that shit. Now, hopefully it gets enough hate that the second season does get canceled and they move the fuck on and that guy gets fired. And hopefully Star Wars can somehow come back without Kathleen Kennedy, because she is stepping down. I think she's done at the end of this month. Star Wars can recover under some better leadership and just continue. Or just stop. Stop beating a dead horse, you know?